All right, so I'm gonna be doing an interview with my grandma. Um, what's her name?
Bridget Hyatt.
Bridget Hyatt. The purpose of the interview is to learn about choices throughout the stages of life and people's life circumstances, as well as their sense of belonging to communities. Today's date is December 2nd. It is 2:31 p.m. in the afternoon, and could you share your name
My name is Bridget Hyatt, and I'm Curtis's grandmother,
and your age,
85.
and then ethnicity?
This is in Santa Clara, California.
Ethnicity though, like where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Trinidad in the West Indies.
Where is that actually?
It's right off the northern coast of South America. It's right off the coast of Venezuela.
And then your occupation,
I'm retired.
but you were
I was a travel agent before I retired.
Any other ways you identify yourself?
A mother and a grandmother. Those are my two best occupations, positions in life.
What was it like growing up in the place and time period of your early childhood?
It was very, very, it was very sweet. It was a small island, and like for Christmas, friends would pick you up and you'd go to the beach in the morning. And,
Oh.
Yeah, right. Because it was such a small island. There was a beach all around the island, you know.
Mm.
And we didn't have phones. For a long time, we didn't have TV. TV didn't come in for a while. I mean, so we read, and we listened to radio programs like, who was there? Different, like Frank Sinatra's singing and stuff like that. So we had radio shows where, like the Eddie Fisher show. You don't remember Eddie Fisher, you're too young. But he sang, and he had a radio show, and a lot of the very popular singers had radio shows that we listened to their songs. And and it was very nice. And you never felt that you were missing anything because everybody else lived the same way you did.
Hmm.
And it was very sweet childhood.
People were really like there for each other and kind of like community like.
Yes, definitely. Definitely community. Everybody looked out for you and your children, and
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, a different world actually.
Yeah.
Nothing like it is today.
Yeah. Were there places growing up that were significant to you? Special places where you felt deeply at home, per se?
All right, all of my childhood friends, their parents sort of adopted you as their children, and if they were doing anything, like I had a girlfriend who had 3 brothers, and so when they went anywhere, they had a station wagon. They'd always ask me to come along, so she would have a friend with her. So, you were kind of adopted by all the families in the area. You felt like, you felt you really were included in the community. Yeah, very nice.
So you'd be like hang out with a friend, you'd meet them and meet the family, and then the family would just seemingly include you to like Thanksgiving and all those holidays and everything. Wow.
Well, one family, he worked for the government, and we had little islands around Trinidad, and the government had built houses on these islands for their employees, so they could go there for vacation, not have to pay rent or anything. And so I would get to go to these islands with my friend. It was just fantastic. And you could swim. Well, we did. We swam from island to island, which was not smart because, there's shark in the water sometimes. But if we got to the other island, the people would kind of get upset with us and bring us back in their boat. But it was fun. It was a good childhood. Yeah.
If there were special places you remember, can you explain what made them special places to you personally and perhaps to the community?
Well, like I said, the islands, were special because you didn't share the island with a lot of people, just probably the family or a couple of families.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that was very fun. And nobody had, big speedboats. So,
Yeah.
they had little boats where you could water ski, but none of these big, gigantic yachts or anything. Well, I don't think they could accommodate them,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice. And my first job was working for a national cash register, and they brought in people from Europe to work for them, and I was hired to work for them. And we had a car that came and picked us up in the morning to take us to work, which was fabulous because I didn't have a car at that time. So I just had to be ready at a certain time, and he would pick like 3 or 4 of us out up in the same area. So that was fun. That was very good. I like that. I guess it's the idea of like different people like Google and all those places, Meta, picking up people in a bus in certain areas and taking them to work now, because they do that.
Oh,
Did you know that?
no.
Yeah, they like Sebastian works in Palo Alto, I think. So there's an area where he can go to in San Francisco and be picked up by the bus to be taken to go to Meta.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang. So he works there now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not too shabby, huh?
Yeah. Are there any places you went to as a teen that brought back positive memories of feeling connected to your community?
Well, let's see. No, it was always, I always felt connected. I never felt left out. I always felt,
Even as a teen and everything?
yeah. I didn't let people's opinions bother me too much. I was just like that. I went like water on a duck's back. I didn't, I just did my thing, did the best I could. And then I thought, well, why am I doing this? But then I thought, hey, day to day, you got to do the best you can and go from there. Yep.
How have the neighborhoods changed where you grew up, and how do you explain the change happening?
Well, I don't go back there a lot
Yeah.
because it's so far away.
Yeah.
It's off the coast of Venezuela, like I said, on the east coast side. And yeah, I think from what I hear, there's a rise in crime, and none of the
Really?
cruise ships go there because the crime is so prevalent. Which is kind of, we were a British colony, when I lived there a long time ago. And then we became independent, and independence didn't sit very well. The government wasn't as harsh and punishment like the British people were. But that's what happens, I guess, with independence sometimes. But I have maybe a couple of friends there still, but right now I'm too old to travel that far.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
do you feel like it's really industrialized over there now?
Yeah, we had a lot of oil. We had oil, and that was rich in oil. And I don't know, the situation with the oil now, but I know that a lot of Americans were over there drilling oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think where you grew up and the way you grew up shaped how you think about starting a family?
For sure, yeah. Yeah. I always knew I wanted kids. I love little babies, and I wish I could have had a dozen, but of course, that's not realistic.
So, because of that community aspect, and growing up into that community, you feel like that kind of shaped you to be like, that's how I want my family to be?
Yeah, loving and caring and welcoming
Yeah.
and non-judgmental, not just, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
not judging people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely seen that.
yeah,
Noticed it. Growing up in this family, it's been very welcoming, and everybody's very there for each other, and uh, definitely like a community. You can definitely tell that you raised your kids, most of them, to be, very community like, there for each other, and
yeah.
and that's, I definitely see it.
You're a lucky boy.
Definitely. Uh, what would you, who influenced you on your views of on starting a family? Like, on how to make your your family into what you desired it to be. Like, who influenced you? Do you have anybody in particular that you like saw their family and was like, I want something like that?
Well, my grandmother brought myself and my older sister up. She brought us up, and she adored the ground we walked on. Of course, grandmothers do that. And so I wanted to be that type of mother and grandmother. Uh, and kids are things, stay in their mind for such a long time. You have to be careful how you treat them, because you don't want them to carry any negative feelings for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's hard to get rid of, those negative feelings. But no, I just, she was really good to us and did the best she could and make sure that we had a good education, and that always was a biggie in my life, making sure there's a good education, because that's one thing nobody can take away from you.
Yeah.
Is a good education, and you would be able to take care of yourself down the road, because there's so many people who don't have a good education, and they couch surf. That's not good.
Yeah.
You have to be able to have a life of your own. Yeah, so my grandmother was very influential in how I wanted to have a loving family.
Community like loving family, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Did your family and environment shape how you thought about career or job options?
Yeah. Well, I knew I wanted to travel. And then that's why I became a travel agent. And, well, what's the rest of the question?
Did your family and environment shape how you thought about career or job options?
Well, yeah, I did want to travel, and I did want to take my kids with me. So that was a good thing, because eventually when they were old enough, I could take them with me, and at a reduced rate. So that was good. So because I think travel is a very good educator.
Mm-hmm.
And that was important, that they get to see some of the world before they settled down and had kids and were tied down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about your thoughts when you were deciding how you'd make a living as you transitioned to adulthood.
Well, there were a lot of banks around where I live in Trinidad, and I thought a bank job would be a good job. And then I got, it's kind of a dead-end job if you don't want to become a manager or something, and you have to work there like 100 years before you get to do stuff. And then a job opening, and I did the machines at the bank, the bookkeeping machines, and then I looked in the papers and I saw the National Cash Register, whose machine that I worked on, was hiring. So I went there to get the job, and that job was already filled, but they had a job opening where I would work with the salesman, and he would go out and sell the machine, and then I'd go and train the people how to do the machine, the National cash register, bookkeeping, payroll, accounts receivable, payable. So that was very nice. And then they bought paper and ink and all that from us, and the salesmen and women gave me the commission on, the little things that they bought. So I had like a commissioned and a salary job, but at a very young age. So that was kind of good. I like that. So, and then when I came up to Salt Lake to live, there was a National Cash Register company just a couple blocks from where we lived. So I went there and applied, and I got a job there doing the same thing. So that was good. It paid off in the long run. Yeah.
What do you consider the most impactful historical events that happened when you were in your late teens or early 20s?
Well, when I was in my late teens, I was supposed to go on a vacation to another island with a friend of mine, and her father got sick, and she bailed out, and I didn't. I thought, well, I'm going anyway. It didn't bother me to go on my own. I think I was 19 or 18. I was quite young, and I'd never been on an airplane before, and we were on a prop, and I was at the window looking out, and as the prop, a propeller plane.
Huh.
Yeah. And you know how it spins before it takes off, and then there was sparks flying out from the propeller plane. And then I thought, oh well, I guess maybe if I'm going to die, it's not a bad way to die on my first airplane ride. It didn't bother me in the least, but it's just how the plane was. It wasn't a defect or anything.
Yeah.
So I went and I had an absolute ball. We were going to stay at a boarding house where this woman had a bunch of rooms and she rented them out. So there were a lot of young people at the boarding house. So they just included me and said, let's go here, let's go there. And I said, sure, okay. So, I went over with a group of people all the time. So that was kind of fun. And then I realized at that age that you make your own fun, and if people that you want to go with can't go, just don't sit home and cry about it, and go out and see the world and do your own thing. Yep.
You've gone out on trips by yourself?
Well, I've done, but mostly working for a company that people want you to see their different properties and experience stuff. I would go, I'd be the only one from my office, but there were tons of people from other offices and some that I knew from trips before. Mm-hmm. So we had our own room, but I would know people there. So if I want to associate with them, fine. If I didn't, fine. So that was good. I had a choice.
And this is through the travel?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Were there any events in your early adult life that have left... Were there any events in your early adult life that affected your life?
Were there any events? Where do you see that? Show me that.
Right here. Any events in your early adult life that affected your life now, maybe?
Yeah, I was always sort of taught that the glass was always half full, not half empty, and I carried that with me for the rest of my life. There was, nothing is that bad that you can't get over it, because if you think one day, my God, I have a mountain to climb over, but the next day something else happens and you think, ooh, that was just a hill.
Yeah.
So no, you just learn how to adjust to life and what life offers you.
Do you think society is generally fair for people that grew up in the time and place you grew up?
I think you make your own fare. I don't think you have to. Yeah, at least I didn't worry about people thought were fair or not. I made my own decisions and I had to live with them. So.
Yeah, I guess fair is kind of hard to say.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I guess society now can be considered not too quote unquote fair for people that grew up in your time and place, with the sense of like all this technology is coming out, you know, and all that stuff, and you weren't growing up with that. And in a sense, it's not fair because you don't know about all that stuff, and you're kind of just getting thrown information in your face, like, hey, iPhone, boom, TV,
Exactly.
boom,
Didn't have that.
all this new stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't know about this little app on your phone? Oh, you don't want to do this on your phone? You know, I guess you could say that isn't technically fair, but what can you do? I mean,
Yeah, you know, I'd love to say I know all about tech and AI and all that, but I don't. I figure, hey, I'm not going to be on this earth another 20 years, and I have to learn that, you know. If I want, you know, I'll try to pick it up as much as possible, but it doesn't worry me that I don't know how to use a phone 100%, probably not even 50%, you know, but that doesn't bother me because I can make calls, I can text, I can, you know, do the things I want to do, and the things I want to do that I don't know, I look for the person that is the kindest,
Yeah.
and that's the person I go to, and, you know, and they help me with what I need to know.
when you were a young adult, or when you were young, would you consider your family working class, middle class, or upper class?
I would say middle class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they do?
Well, my grandmother ran a boarding house, like I told you. Did I know that? No, I told you when I went to the other island, there's a boarding house. But she had a big house, and she rented rooms out. And she also was a fabulous cook. So most of the time, they took board and meals. And then my mother was a nurse in New York,
Wow.
and my father worked in New York also. And so, you know, and I went to school in Trinidad at a Catholic convent. They gave me a good education.
How did your family, like your mom and dad, live in New York, but you lived in Trinidad?
Because they sort of regarded Trinidad as a dead-end place for jobs for them. And they wanted to do better in life. Like, you know, all the people that came on the ships from Europe to the U.S. to Ellis Island. Something like that, yeah.
And you stayed in Trinidad?
Yeah, because I was going to school already there. And I think the plan was to maybe have me and my oldest sister, you never met Betty, did you? She's a cutie. My oldest sister come over eventually, and we just never did. We just stayed there. We liked our life there.
In Trinidad?
Yeah, we stayed there. Yeah. You're learning a lot about your old family, yeah? Just let it ring, John. Okay. I'm sorry, this is going on.
Do you think race and ethnicity shape who we are and our life choices and chances of reaching our goals?
How could it not? Yeah. But we have to see beyond that and do what's best for us. Yeah.
How do you think it like shapes who we are and our life choices?
Well, let me think. You go to a job and you get the job, and you look around and you look at see the different cliques and how people treat you and how they treat each other, and then you make a life choice of who you want to be friends with and who you don't want to be friends with. And that's kind of protecting yourself also, you know, because you have to protect yourself from undue hurt, really.
You don't want to hurt people.
And you don't want to hurt people either. So, yeah, you sort of, it's kind of called like street sense, you know. Yeah. You don't learn that in a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think food and cooking is important to family togetherness?
Oh, for sure. Because you're doing something you enjoy eating, hopefully.
Yeah.
and you're doing it with people you love. So that's a double whammy right there, a double plus plus. Yeah, yeah.
Could you describe what cooking was like growing up and compared to now?
Well, growing up, I was spoiled rotten, so I didn't have to cook. We had a maid to cook and stuff. Like
Really?
that. But they were really cheap there.
Oh.
People work for you for barely anything. So we had. So I didn't cook a lot. When I got married, John cooked because I didn't know how to cook till I learned how to cook, and I joined a gourmet group, and they were very kind to me, and and then that's when I started learning to cook, and then you realize, oh, food tastes so much better when there's good seasonings and stuff. Like
Yeah.
your mom is a great cook.
Yeah, she can be.
She's a great cook. So yeah, you learn to do that because you know that it's an enjoyable time when people are together and they're eating a good meal and they're happy, and you're happy because you made it,
Yeah.
and it's a good feeling. Yeah.
What did it mean to raise children in the younger years?
It's hectic, very hectic.
Yeah.
You get no sleep.
Nah. To keep you up?
They keep you up, but it's so rewarding to see them grow and mature and become wonderful people, just like Mike Chris. So yeah, it's a wonderful feeling to see them happy and joyful.
Is it different today, raising children in your younger years, you think?
Well, I would not have the energy to raise children today. Is that what you mean?
No, like, do you think it's... if I were to have a child in my younger years, obviously not now, but like later on,
Yeah.
do you think it's different today than
Oh God,
before?
yes. Oh God, yes. I pity you. There's so many things there now that my kids didn't have. I couldn't afford for them to have it either. But yeah, it's really different. I could remember when we moved here, I didn't even lock my front door.
Oh.
Because everybody was so
Living here?
friendly. Yeah.
Really?
When we first moved here, I would come in and my friends had made coffee and sitting there having coffee. If I wasn't here, they'd just wait for me. But of course, I wouldn't do that now. I think it's a whole different ball game. My kids would walk to school.
Yeah. No.
Now I think, oh my God, did they ever make it to school? It's a really different world. So, yeah.
Then you have to think about, like, now we have school shootings that are a problem, right?
Yeah.
So back then you guys didn't have to worry about that, right?
No.
So now, like, you as a parent, thinking, like, having your kids even, or the rates of, sexual predators or all that stuff is just going up and up and up, you know?
Yeah.
And it's scary. Just even like yesterday, I after work, one of a busser who I work with, 15 years old, 16, whatever, was gonna walk home, not too far, right? Like a couple streets down. I'd say it's a 10-minute walk, but the manager was like, hey, like, who's gonna take this kid to home? Like, I don't want to have him walk. And this girl that was like a server, she's like, I don't want to. She wanted to stay there because she has nothing really to go home to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I ended up taking him home because I was like, ain't no way I'm gonna let there be a 10-minute window for a child predator somehow to be like, hey, like, just swoop the kid.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean,
exactly.
Maybe I'm just overprotective, but it's like,
that was really nice of you, Curtis.
no, but it's just like, it's just the world's getting into a darker place.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta kind of hold them closer to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's scary. I mean, we didn't have. I look at the schools now. I can remember when I used to drop quality to school, it was all open, and now they're big iron fences, and the park is all closed off from the school before, they could run in the park at recess and play in the park and then come out. No way now. Big iron fences all around. keep the kids in corrals, you know. And yeah, you know, you have to think that's the thing to do. Because who knows who's lurking in the park waiting for them to nab some little 7-year-old, you know, put some chloroform on the mouth and nose, and kid can't even scream. So yeah, it's a different world, which is very, very sad. Yeah.
Do you think new types of media shape how young people think of themselves today and their career choices?
Yeah, I feel sorry for young people today because the media is really hard on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel sorry. You know, I didn't have all that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And you know, if you went into an area or a job that didn't suit you, you just looked in the papers for something different, you know. But it's so cutthroat today.
Yeah.
And then you know you went and interviewed for a job, and they offered you a job the day you interviewed. And here you have to interview like 10, 12 times. You know, phone interviews, Zoom interviews. You know, interview with this CEO or this vice president, then interview with the people you're going to work with, and you know, it's so hard. I mean, it's pressure. It's pressure on young people today, I think. But that's the way it is, and you got to adjust to life, you know?
Yeah, and I also feel like with all this new media coming out, like, you know, TikTok and all that stuff, the unrealistic expectations of kids and people my age of like of getting to a point where they should be and stuff so fast, it's like it's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of people on the internet that kind of and I feel like on the media you can have a job and you could hate it and you can make all the money in the world, but you can falsely perceive it to other people like you love it and that it's you're just loving life and that everything's great, but it's all false expectation. It's not real, and it's just, you know, and I feel like media is turning into a big mask for people to wear. You know, you can be someone totally different on Instagram or all these apps with how you want to be and how you want people to perceive you. And then behind closed doors, when you really meet them face to face, you could be a total different person, you know? But all because of how you want to be perceived and how you perceive yourself on media is how people might perceive you if they only see you on that platform. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of affects people today and how they think of career choices, because some people might look at, like, for me, example, like, I'll see people that are making money, a lot of money at my age, and I'm like, dang, like, am I making the wrong choice? And I could get leaded into that career choice, you know, but I choose to not to, because I'm like, okay, I want to find something I love. But it's so easy for kids who are lost and don't know what to do.
Right.
To just be like, oh, well, they're happy and they have all that money and they're doing this job. It doesn't seem like fun, but screw it. They perceive their life in a certain way. Might as well follow suit.
Yeah.
Is there anything we did not cover that you think should be discussed concerning relationships?
Well, I think you did a great job.
Any questions for me about this interview?
Well, what do you think of the interview?
I think it was good.
Well, me too. Yeah. And I brought you here to see us, so that makes it even better.
Yeah.
Because we don't get to see you a lot.
All right. Well, that's our interview today. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.